So perfect. Thank you very much for starting the recording. So now that the official part starts for everyone which has not been able to participate today. So let me share my screen, because then it's a bit easier to explain you what I'm doing, where I'm from, and why I may know what I'm telling you today. So Alvicus, on the top right, our logo, that's my company. My company consists of myself and, of course, my business partner, Desiree. Desiree Dosch and myself, we know each other for about 15, almost 16 years, and we are doing business since 6 years together. Basically, our main focus is to invest in startups. So the reason why we know what investment readiness means is because we see so many cases asking for money, but these startups, these ideas are not investment ready. Because investment readiness for us means we give money to a company, to a person where we know something more, a little bit more at least, is coming back to us. So it's not, we don't do donation, we don't do support, we don't do philanthropy, we invest into companies. And that's why it's so important to do all the homework beforehand before you reach out to an investor. A very important part for you as well, you will receive the entire documentation I'm sharing with you today. So you don't need to make crazy notes. Maybe just refer to the slide. We have always slide numbers on the top right if you have any questions. And for the how it works today, we have a couple of sections, 3 to 4 sections, and between every sections, you have the possibility to ask questions in the chat, and Julio will then ask the questions directly to me, and I try to answer as fast and as efficient as possible. Otherwise, as well, please connect afterwards on LinkedIn. And when there is something popping up which hasn't been answered here, feel free to send me a direct message on LinkedIn or by email. So what are we doing? As I mentioned already before, on the left-hand side, you see strategic consulting. So we don't do only investments. We also help companies and support companies when it comes to change, when they want to grow, when they want to change their existence. And on the other side, we also, as I mentioned, we do investments and business development. We basically have a look at each and every case. So we don't say no to a case just because it was handed in. We have a look, we see if there is an opportunity, either helping through us by ourselves or through our network, or at least to refer the person to someone we know which might be able to help. The agenda for today, we dive into the assessment. What does it mean to be an entrepreneur? What does it mean to have a co-founder, as example, and how to define your personal goals and how to reach them. The second topic will be about the investor. We need to know the investor. It's very important to profile the investor, because money is not just money. And if you have the wrong investors on board, then it might more problem than it helps for the company. We dive a little bit more deeper into the internal due diligence. It's a very broad topic. I guess the one or the other topic within this chapter you have heard about before, and I'm sure this could be some familiar, but I want to give you the overview why it is so important to look into the internal due diligence. The timeline, the last chapter, which is very important to have a look into what does it mean in looking for money. How long is the company able to survive without the investor? Timeline is the most important part, because if you don't have money left on your account, if the business plan doesn't go as planned, then also, it's not going to work out in a long run. With that, why is investment readiness so important? So why does this entire topic become so important on one side for the investor, and on the other side also for the startups before you reach out? It is on one side a very strategic preparation for yourself. So you know exactly before you go out that you have done all your homework. So it's not about trial and errors with the investors. So you know exactly what does need to be in place before you reach out. There is important part, which is the goal. So what do you want to achieve with the investment readiness? What do you want to achieve with the investment? Is it just to have a little bit money on the bank account to start with the business? Or what is the communication towards the investor in order to show a decent business plan and also provide the trust that money is coming back. And how? So the important part, try to put yourself into the eyes of an investor, not on the start, not into your own eyes, and ask yourself, what does this person want to learn and know from myself? It doesn't make any distinction between if you have just started with your company, even earlier before, if you just have an idea to start with an idea, or if you're in the process to grow, to go internationally. So the concept applies pretty much to everyone. It's just about the dimension where it becomes a little more complex, a little bit more easy to execute. But I would say the entire investment readiness with its different topics always fits to the different sizes. So what is the path? It's pretty much as I showed before in the agenda. So we do the assessment about what we want to achieve. We need to learn about what is the perfect investor we need to contact, so know your investor. We need to do the internal due diligence always, and again, towards the specific investor persona. And at the end of the day, always keep the timeline in our heads in order to not run out of money during fundraising. So let's start with the first one, with the assessment. The assessment, it seems to be, or it sounds maybe a little bit of simple, but it's very important that you, as a single founder, maybe you have a partner, a business partner, know exactly what is your internal motivation. Why are you doing this? So what is the driver of your particular startup? The second question you should ask yourself, what is the goal? What do you want to achieve with that? So do you want to become financially independent? Do you want to become a millionaire? Do you want to fulfill some other dreams? That's very important, because if you can't answer this question to yourself, you don't even know why you get up in the morning. And the last, and also one of the main important components, is what is your superpowers? Why do you, what kind of topics will you be able to cover within the company? And what is your weakness, which you maybe need to buy outside from your company? And this is an assessment I highly suggest to do every 6 to 9 to 12 months. And even when there is a particular success within the company or something goes wrong. Because let's say if you have a new client which increases your revenue quite large, then your goals, your focus may change. And also the one from your business partner. And for that, I have a little bit of an example here. So in this case, we have two personas, two co-founders. So both of them write this down, both of them do this individually, then you share it within each other. The important part, this is not right or wrong, because it's a self-focused, a self-assessment. And you cannot say, no, you co-founder, this is not correct, because it's his or her own perspective. In that particular case, let's make one or two examples here. So person number one, what is his motivation? He mentioned that his father was a business owner. So in this case, it could indicate that the driver for this founders become an entrepreneur might be to show her father that she can also do it. So whenever there is a decision, consider the fact that this person may want to impress the relative. Another one, it's in person two. So what is the goal of person two? She wants to do a successful, she wants to be very successful and wants to do an IPO. So this means there needs to be a lot of money, there needs to be external advisor, also some external fame. So also here, consider whenever it comes to decisions that person number two may decide or act, because the main goal is to do this successful IPO. And the last one, just as a further example, this person, as you see, wants to become the CEO, but on the other side, she's good in task management. So maybe rather decide to do the CFO role than the CEO role, because the CEO is the person which goes out and needs to talk, and it's not the one which takes care of the tiny little tasks. So this is just an example to show what the self-assessment will help you to uncover talking to your business partner, but it also works for yourself if you're a single entrepreneur. And keep the record do it again in 6 months, do it again in 12 months, and then maybe compare if it has changed. It may sound a little bit or looks a little bit silly for the time when you do it, but in a long run, retrospectively, it helps a lot to understand why you may have done one or the other decision. Oh, there was another solution, another example here. Person number 2 was solution oriented, so rather be the CEO than the CFO. So this to start, and I already opened here the Q&A. Does someone have a specific question to this assessment? I'm going to share this template with you as well. So there is a link at the end of the presentation. You can download it from our Google Drive. Do we have any questions here?
I'm checking as well the question and answer box. At the moment, I don't see anything pertaining to what you have presented so far. But again, please, anyone who's got a question which comes later, put it in the chat, not the chat, the question and answer box, and I will monitor that. And at the end, we will cover all of the questions as well as time permits. So thank you so much. I think we can continue at the moment.
Absolutely. I think we're going to have more questions later on because this was an easy start with this topic here. So the second one is a very important component because know your investor. So imagine you have a brilliant idea. You're going to ask me, Manu, do you have money as always? And I say yes. But in a long run, we understand, okay, we disagree on many topics. So the money you may have received from us might be nice to have, but it will be very painful money. So the know your investor exercise is in my opinion, the most important part. So money is not just money. It really needs to fit your person, your personality, your business model, and also the investor's business model. What does it mean in detail? So as you may know, there exist a couple of different types of investors. I have identified here 8 different types of investors, and I'm sure if you break it down, you could even create more of these different personas. And I just made a couple of examples here. And this is very important to already fit the investor persona to your business model. How much money do you plan to raise? So if you raise millions of funds, then an angel investor might not be the right one. You need to find a different one. So let's go into detail here. And they are kind of connected and also increasingly when it comes to sizing, but they can also perfectly interact with each other and fit as an investment group. Let's start with the left one here. So friends and family. What does friends and family mean? In most cases, they have limited financial capabilities. They have the chance to invest, let's say 500 to 50,000, let's call it US dollars or euros. So they have limited capabilities. And also there is a personal dependency, a personal connection to these investors. So you're going to meet them at the Christmas party. You're going to meet them at the next birthday party. So take care of having too much friends and family investment in your cap table. The cap table, that's the definition or the word where you show all the shareholders, basically the ownership of your company. So if I'm using the word cap table, it refers to the people being invested in your company. As you see the type, so what kind of types exist? For the family and friends, I mentioned equity, so meaning they get real shares, a real portion of your company. They can also do loans, meaning they grant you money, but they expect to have it back. And also CLAs, which is a convertible loan agreement, meaning they don't have yet active shares or active equity in your company, but in a later stage, once you do the next investment round, these convertible loans convert into equity. So that's a common instrument in friends and family. There are pros, it's fast, you can ask them today, you may have the money tomorrow, you don't need that much paperwork, you don't have bureaucracy, it's more about the personal relationship. The cons, FFF, friends, families, and fools reputation. So as I said before, you always meet them at Christmas, so you kind of have a different connection to them rather than to a business professional investor. And as I said before, what if you fail? What if the money is gone? There is always a bit of a bad taste in the past from the investment. The second one here, and I'm not going to go into much detail here because I already explained now the terms. So bank and governments, bank don't invest. So don't expect that the bank is going to be your shareholder in the future. They give you a grant, so money you can burn, and you don't have to give it back. Mostly it comes with the prize money or with the competition where you get the money. You may get loans, but loans with the bank, you need to have decent business in place. So you need to create revenue. You need to have decent revenue, recurring revenue, in order to, that the bank says, yes, we believe this money is coming back. Usually they do larger tickets, so you don't get just a couple of dollars as grants or as loans, because there is a large process behind in the banks. So if you plan to raise a grant and a loan from a bank, plan accordingly. It takes a lot of time and also a lot of bureaucracy. The angel investor. The angel investor is probably the best known and the best instrument for an early stage startup. These are experts which not only have money, they also have expertise, they have network, and also they have long time experience being an investor. Usually an angel investor signs tickets between 1 to 100,000 US dollars, which is a decent money for them because they invest not in the first round, they also plan to invest in the second round. They are similar to the families and friends, so they do equities, convertible loans. I haven't seen so many loans from angel investors because the idea is to have an upside when the company becomes larger and new investment rounds are being closed. So they want to have real assets in your company, real ownership. As I said before, an angel investor, an individual person, comes with network, comes with inner motivation and driver to go forward with the company. The angel syndicate is pretty much the same as the angel investors, but this is just a group of angels pooling together and coming into your company as one investor. So I don't have to explain this in too much detail. The other four, that's a little bit the larger ones, the more sophisticated, the more professional ones, like accelerator and incubators. Usually they are doing only prize money. So meaning you have to apply for a certain competition, you have to run through a specific program. And if you are the winner, you get the prize money, which is in, let's say, in the area between just having the nice certificate and also maybe get 100 to 200K, that's possible. I also saw cases where they go for equity. So if you run through a specific program, they get 3, 5, maybe 8% of equity, but please don't go over 5 to 8% of equity just because of an incubator, because at the beginning it seems to be little, but in the long run it's quite a lot of shares. So be aware about not giving too much shares to an accelerated program. Family offices seems to be very nice, but this takes so much time. So if you have the chance to present your case in a family office, don't just expect the money tomorrow. They mostly, almost always go for equity. So they want to have real shares in your company because it's, for them, it's a long-term investment, and they also want to do the exit. But there exists many different family offices in different jurisdictions. So European family offices are completely different than, as an example, South American family offices as we experienced. The venture capital, the second last one I have identified, that's basically us. So we do investment into startup as our main business. So we identify startups and companies which fit to our main purpose, and basically where there we do the due diligence, there we do the investment, we help them to grow. And then we want to have equity of these companies. We want to have real shares because once they exit or they go to an IPO, we have the upscale through our initial investment. And the last one here, the corporate investor, that's a large institute which has not in its core business acquiring or participating or buying shares from a company. This could be, pardon. This could be like an insurance company which invests into IT systems which make or help them to increase their efficiency within their industry. I had a little bit of voice issues the last day. That's why I'm drinking tea here. Sorry for that. So beside the investor profiles we saw before, there exist different personas. And the persona, that's basically the personal characteristic of an investor. I made here 4 examples, but this is, let's say, in unlimited, what kind of investors persona exists. So one example is you may face someone as an investor, the angel investor is a perfect fit from its art, how he is, but this person is such an numbers person. So whenever you exchange with this person, you always have to show numbers. You always have to prove why you did it. This person is going to give you a hard time with all the numbers. Then the second one might be the philanthropist. So this person doesn't really care about your success, but believes in your product, in your case, in your service, and that's why this person invests. The hobbyist, it's not the one I have experienced by myself. Someone has a bit too much money, but he's happy and willing to invest. So he doesn't really care. He just wants to be part of something pretty cool. And the last one, that's someone which made a corporate career, has a little bit too much money, and also wants to be the late co-founder of something pretty cool. So all of these personas have pros and cons when it comes to working together with them. So be aware that you have a good mix of types and have a good mix of the personas which fits to your own personality and also fits to what you want to achieve together with them, because they become your partner for the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years once you be able to exit with them or to buy your shares back. That's the end of this section here. Do we have a question for this section? The investor persona. Let me quick check the chat here. We have something. You're on mute.
Yes.
Yes.
Jennifer sent us something. If your sales are not high enough, but you're selling, the sales are steady but discrete, also because some features in case of IT might need investments to be developed. And without the investment, you can't develop. What do you do with investors to explain that in a sexy way, in a catchy way? So
yeah, that's basically the reason why you need an investor. So you don't need an investor to just grow. If you grow by yourself, there are words like bootstrapping or what I heard, brick and mortar and these kind of things. So if you do it by yourself, you don't need the investor. So this is a typical case why you reach to the investor. So you show to the investor, hey, investor, we have done pretty well. So we have sales, we have traction, but if we really want to reach the next sales jump, so this typical hockey stick, we need better IT, and this better IT has a price. So please invest 500K. With this 500K, we can build a new software. We can increase the processes, and here we go. The sales numbers are getting up and getting higher. So that's a typical case to go to an investor. That's not something bad. That's something good. You have a story now.
Okay. We've got another one from Simone. What do you think of non-profit venture organizations?
Non-profit venture organization. So I understand that. So there is 2 ways of non-profit venture organizations. So one is venture capitals. They invest into non-profit business cases. So this is a segment. So this is not something bad or good. So as we invest into women-led tech companies, that's a specific segment. So they only give money to solutions or to providers of non-profit products. I don't know how the return model looks like there in such a case, but of course there might be a philanthropist behind the scene which invests into these cases. And the other definition of a non-profit venture, I'm not sure if I understand the question correct, but a non-profit venture organization might be an investor which doesn't look for return, but that's then more someone which gives grants and donates or do philanthropy. So maybe Simona, you need to rephrase your question if I did not answer it correctly. We can answer it at the end of the webinar.
Okay, I can even give you the talk maybe later on as well. I see as well Maganda has raised her hand, but then she just disappeared at the moment.
Okay.
I don't know who she is, but I think we continue, right? And then we see at the end, I can also allow people to speak up.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can do it like this. So we have not such a large group, but
no.
Simona, we can take your question maybe at the end. All right, let's go back to this screen here. So the internal due diligence, why internal in brackets? So usually you have buy side and sell side. What does it mean? Buy side is the investor wants to buy from you, and you as a company owner, you wants to sell. So you're the sell side. So when it comes to due diligence, usually it's the buy side. So I want to invest into your company, which does the external due diligence. So I have a look from outside. I want to see your books, your IT, and so on and so forth. But beforehand, you as the owner, as the startup founder, you need to do the investment by yourself first. So now we have a super large, complex slide here. You don't have to learn this by heart. It just gives a detailed overview what due diligence in theory mean. And I don't go into too much detail of each and every section area here. But let's start from the left here, the financials, the accounting, and the taxes. So due diligence in such a term mean you need to be aware that your accounting, your potential, the taxes you paid, and also the legal is, sorry, not the legal, the accounting is in proper conditions. Because if you have any wrong bookings from the past, if you have any obligations, if you have anything done in the past which is not perfectly represented in the accounting, it might lead into a devaluation of your company. So mostly we see that founders don't take too much care about their accounting because that's the accountant going to take care of. But you need to become a little bit of financial interested, accounting interested to understand how it works. Credit card payments are usually traps where we see a lot of wrong bookings and all these kind of things when it comes to not main business focused transaction, but also to important transactions that money is being used. So investors don't want to see an accounting which is not properly done, because this means money is being spent in a way that it's burned way too fast. Legal compliance and IT, that's not a very important component. If you build a system, a product, something with an IP, you need to show the investor that it's some kind of protected. I do not suggest to run on the very first day of your idea to a patent lawyer to say, hey, we need a patent around that. We need to protect our IP, because IP also over time is evolving. So if you hit the second where you say, let's go to the investor, I would say only then it's wise to consider talking to an IP lawyer and see, is it really worth to make sure that the IP is protected. Another very important component within legal are all the contracts. So you have contracts with your employees, you have contracts with suppliers, with clients. So make sure that these contracts don't have any odd conditions or odd paragraphs where it means you have to pay for something, or you have to pay for something, or you have to breach a client relationship. So there is so much traps we see with contracts where money is not being paid as expected from clients, or we have to pay so much money because of a supplier has not fulfilled what we still are in the obligation to pay. So legal is a very gray and it's not dangerous, but a very complex area. So before you go to the investor, make sure you fully understand all the contracts which are in place. Operationally means your daily business. So what does it mean working within your daily systems? Who is responsible for what? So make sure that you have documented as much as possible. If you have processes with external supplier, write down how it works, who is responsible for which process, who is doing the quality controls, who is taking care of the emails, and so on and so forth. Because the operational part, at the once in the future, when you may sell your company, you may don't want to be the CEO anymore. So this needs to be documented. And the best way to start a clean operational environment, start documenting, because then you only understand what you're actually doing the whole day. Technical, digital IT, technology, it's very important. So there seems to be a very nice system. We had the question before from Simona. She has a system in place. It looks very nice, but if you dig deep into the code, how it was developed, there might be some problems. So this could also evaluate the company. We had cases where the front end looked very nice, but it was just not properly bound together in the back end. So we had to invest a lot of money to make the system scalable for the future, because it fits for 100 or 200 clients, but it would never fit to about 500 clients and more. This is a very important part. Also, make sure if you develop software that you have a proper software development process in place. So if you release a new feature, make sure that not the whole system is going to break, that the proper test environment is in place. And financial and accounting, I already mentioned before. So what does it mean? Why is it so important to do a commercial due diligence for the investor? Because the commercial due diligence, and that's where you should stress most to increase the value, this shows the potential of the future. How much is your company capable to do? So all the other topics are backward looking. So you have a clean legal in place, you have clean contracts in place, your accounting is fine, but commercial, that's only what is possible for the future. And what does commercial due diligence mean? The commercial due diligence means basically that your business model, how you make money, has a profound implementation in your company. So meaning you need to exactly know how you earn this $1 single dollar. Because if you don't have a proper business model, it becomes way complex in explaining, and it becomes way complex in implementing into increasing and sustainable business in a long run. You also need to understand your market. So what does the market mean? Who are the competitors? How large is your market? And what are the potentials for growing? So I take the example again from before. What does additional sales mean for Simona? What does it mean to increase, to want to have more sales? How large can you even scale? To what point is it possible? And where does the next investment need to be? The customers' pain and gains, understand where and how your customers act. Why do they visit your website? Why do they visit your shop? Why do they want to buy from you? You need to understand what is the trigger, what are the triggers for your customers. And as I mentioned before, it goes a little bit hand in hand with the market. Who else operates in a similar market? Are they friendly? Are they made too much competition? Are there any collaboration possibilities? So understand your competition. For each and every of these sections here, I have a separate slide. I don't want to go into too much detail here because otherwise we're running out of time. But the slide itself should give you enough information to understand and do the exercise by yourself. The business model, as I mentioned before, so it consists of the companies. What kind of values do you have? What are the products, the locations where you operate? So on top of that, what are the success facts of your company? I prefer to use this term unfair advantage. Is there something others don't have? Do you have a direct contact to a potential client or to a supplier where your competitor doesn't have? So use this unfair advantage you have towards the investor to show him, hey, that's why you need to give the money to us, because the others, even they have a similar business model, they don't have this unfair advantage. And you can use it when it comes to decision making with the investor. Also consider seasonality and cycles. So not every product can be sold during Christmas or in summer or in winter. You have local seasonalities. You may have product or supply seasonalities. Also consider that. Consider budgeting times if you sell B2B. In January, you might be able to sell. In October, November, it might be hard because then there is not much money left for a B2B product. So also consider seasonality when it comes to burn rate. And of course, sales and margin goes with the business model. Where and how do you make money? The customers, I don't go too much into details into this slide because I believe everyone has done a personas analysis before. So personas are very important to understand where is my client, what does she want to buy, where does she buy, and what are the triggers to buy a product from you. The market sizing. So why market sizing? This is always, oh, we have a 10 billion market and we can already attract 1% of it. To be honest, mostly it's not possible to do the market sizing, to achieve even the percentages of the market sizing. But it gives an indication that you understand how your market operates, where our products are being bought, and you understand how the pricing in your market works. So this is extremely helpful for you to compare with competition, to maybe sharpen your business model, and also to help in the long run to calculate your P&L statement. What's the result of the market sizing? You get this, I'm sure every one of you saw this before, this different kind of circles of areas where all these potential markets are being shown. So basically, you can say my entire market is the whole world. So everyone could buy from me. Of course, yes, yeah, they could. But at the end of the day, it's this tiny little point here where you start selling your products when you start. But if you go to the investor and tell him, listen, with your investment of this 1 million, you might be able to achieve a little bit more on this tiny little circle here in the serviceable obtainable market. This is a very helpful argument to show him, hey, with this investment, we can do more. The competition, I mentioned before as well. So put yourself into comparison with others. So you can use different kind of axes. You can say high quality, low price. You can say fully integrated or high quality, technically available on different devices, also jurisdiction wise. And in this example, we see different kind of chocolate producers where we know some of them are cheap or have lower quality. And yeah, since we are Swiss, we need to put high quality and high price on the very top. And usually you find yourself on the top right. So use the right axis to show why you are better than all the others. So these are all arguments you try to sell me to say, Manu, if you invest in us, you are not doing the Mars or the KitKat product, you do the luxury high quality. And that's why we are unique in our offering. Do you have any questions to this section?
Well, I see a question from Simona about co-CEOs. So what do you think about that? I'm one of the co-CEOs in my tech trade startup. Companies like Netflix, Salesforce, Spotify all have co-CEOs, but I am receiving resistance from possible investors to the co-CEO setup.
So you either do it by yourself, the company, or you have someone you trust. A co-CEO, so that's basically someone which has the same responsibility, the same more or less skills. I had a couple of co-CEOs where they offer me and say, yeah, we are kind of equivalent, but go back to the assessment we did at the very beginning. So I'm sure not both of you have exactly the same superpowers and have the same ability to bring the company forward. Basically, it's a title. If you call yourself co-CEO, that's fine, but also define the roles and responsibilities If you're the co-CEO and responsible for sales and marketing and growth or revenue responsible, then you are the, we call them, let's say, hustler. You go out, you do activities, you try to create new business. If your other CEO is a little bit more like the analytics person, maybe a little bit the tech guy, then of course he can call himself or herself the co-CEO. But yeah, there are different terms. So I don't give too much about these C whatever titles. I would rather put it into roles and responsibilities. Then you don't have to argue about co-CEO. And within yourself, yeah, maybe say this season or this year, I'm the CEO, and next year you are the CEO. In my opinion, there should be one decision taker within a company, but of course, this can also be implemented with different kind of compliance or rules and regulation within the company.
Thank you. And I don't see any further questions in the Q&A. Though we finished the presentation, maybe I just kind of call out to everyone, and you can raise your hand and I can allow you as well to speak if it's easier. So
yeah. Let's quick. I have one section left. That's the most important section. Let's do it here. This shouldn't take too much, maybe 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
The timeline I mentioned. Timeline. Why timeline? So in theory, today, let's all together, we have a startup with this one company and say, let's go for fundraising. So at some point here, we decide, we need money. So this takes some time now. You need to do the preparation, the pre-readiness, so the information I showed you before, what needs to be done, what's the homework you need to do beforehand, before you even go out. So you make all these due diligence processes, you make all the documents ready, you feel ready now. Then you start searching. You call Manu, you may call one of the other investors, and then they say, you're on vacation, it takes time. So once we may meet, once we may agree, we need contracts. Contracts take time because we work with lawyers. And finally, at the end of the day, we receive the funds. So that's the process, one after the other. In reality, that's how it looks like. So you may have a quick decision or an understanding, then we need the money now because we want to grow, we really want to execute something. So the pre-readiness and investment readiness may take not that much time and can be executed fast, but the search and collection and the contact, this is something which takes forever. In my understanding or in my opinion, if you contact 1,000 people, you may receive interest from 100, you may be able to meet 10, and this one person you'll be able to close. So there is a huge funnel you need to go through in order to close your investment. And what does it mean for your money? So you may have some cash on your account. Then you decide, okay, let's go for the money. I don't have to repeat myself. You know the processes now, the steps. And at some point you get to the situation here. Now contracts are in place and the funds are transferred. But what if this deal breaks? It's not going to happen. You get into trouble. So start early, reach out, open your eyes and your ears, talk to investors, even though you're not yet investment ready, and understand what is the best timing, what is the best minute or second or season to talk to them. Already provide some small tiny appetizer in order to show, hey, there is a company which is soon investment ready, and we can become a lucrative investment opportunity. So this was probably the fastest chapter ever, but be aware, money is going faster than you think. Any questions to that timeline section here?
Not the timeline, but there's a question from Lucia about investors, because small, medium-sized, women-led businesses, they fear investors to bring money into your business, and because they request for shares. But if they see that your business is good, they realize it, they want to send you away. Can you advise? I think it's like how to protect yourself from this kind of scenarios.
So let me answer it like this. The investor-business relationship this needs to be something positive and good. So an investor, and we see this, I saw this quite often, that they beg you for money. Hey, invest now, and then at some point you sign the contract and it works. And the second you transferred the money, then the communication cuts. So it is very important that you build up a relationship with the investor, because the investor, thanks to the investor, someone believes in your business model, someone believes in you, will be the accelerator for your future growth. So if I understand your question correctly, if you may not yet be ready for an investor, provide him the possibility to invest in the next phase. So you may have already a first supporter of your investment round. You may have a lead investor, and of course, if you become successful, everyone wants to have shares on your company. But then what changes? The prices changes. So don't take too much money at the beginning, because if you receive too much money, then your valuation also, your at a low valuation, your shares, your amount of shares will be decreased. If you wait a little bit longer, and if you only hand out small tickets, then you don't lose the entire ownership. So meaning, let's make a quick example, because it will theoretically in numbers. If your company is worth, let's say, 5 million as example, and someone comes and say, hey, I give you 2 million. You don't want to have the 2 million, because 2 million have about 30% of your company. So it's quite too much. So you will be diluted to 70%. So maybe just say, I take 500, that's enough. Or lower the valuation, lower the ticket, and go step by step by step. So you can always deal with the right power together with the investors, in order not to lose too much ownership of your company. I hope this answers the question as far as I understood.
Thank you. Again, for everyone, we will share the slides. We will also upload our recording to our YouTube channel. That might take a bit of time, but in between, I might send this out as well over Zoom. That's not a problem. Any other questions for Manuel whilst he's with us live? Check out. I don't see any hands. You can also raise your hand and I can allow you to speak. Okay, so Manuel, how can people reach out to you if they wish to have more advice or are more interested? How can we contact you?
So basically every possible channel where I'm available. So LinkedIn works, email works. You can also give me a call, whatever you prefer. So whenever you have a business idea and you're not sure how to grow, how to proceed, is it with investments? Is it with growth? Is it with becoming internationally? Also, if you just think about to start a business, provide me the details. I will share a link with you where you can upload your material, your ideas. My team will have a look at it. And then I promise you, we're going to have a call. You can explain in detail what you want to achieve. And I'm sure we find a way to bring you forward with your idea. And I'm also going to tell you if it might not be the right point in time to start now, or maybe start later, or if you know someone better, which fits to your business, to your industry, and also or to your vertical. That's not a problem. So feel free to share whatever material you have from your idea. So we have Lucia, 2 hands raising.
Yes, I allow to talk, Lucia. You on mute? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Lucia. Hello,
Lucia.
Yes, we can hear you. Please continue.
This is Lucia from Uganda. I'm the founder and managing director of Known as Enterprises Uganda Limited, and also president of OIT from Uganda. I also invited a lot of OIT members from Uganda. Thank you so much, Manuela. You have trained
You're welcome.
It has been a good lesson for us. You know, like us women, we start businesses, but you don't have some experiences. So what you have, the training has been good for us, even for my members from OIT and other ladies. Ladies, we have that challenge of understanding these things because in many businesses have been overtaken by investors bringing in much money. I have learned a lot that we don't allow investors to put in more money so that they have more shares than you. That has been a good lesson to me. So thank you so much. Thank you, Madam President, for organizing this meeting. And I think we'll contact you, but your contacts, I've not put them on the chat or on the screen.
No,
Manuela.
they are here.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to receive the presentation, Lucia, so everyone can actually have access to the contacts. And I see Sidonie as well. Allow me, Lucia, to allow Sidonie as well to speak up. So Sidonie, you can start talking. You're on mute though.
Good. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the presentation. Very, very, very insightful. I did miss the locations that you serve. By the way, I'm in the Silicon Valley, California area. Manuel, do you mind sharing what areas you serve geographically?
Yes, of course I will. So we are located in Switzerland, in Zurich. We have clients and investments in Europe, in Central Europe, but we also have a lot of venture capital partners in the US. So when it comes to investment readiness processes and these kind of things, so we are totally international. We also helped one company to go to Asia, from Switzerland. So we don't do any, let's say, limitations to jurisdictions. We also did a company in Africa, in Kenya. So this is also possible. It just when it comes to legal topics, we may not be the best person to advise, but for that we have our legal partners around the world.
Okay, I think
I hope this helped.
I think that answers Sidonie's question, I guess, right? Sidonie. I guess so. She's on mute. All right. I don't see anyone else. Oh, give me one sec. We've got some question and answers here. One moment. Before we go, Blessing. How do we go about a new idea for a company who is already existing and is going into another sector with a new product?
Yeah, this is basically go to market. I would put this into the go to market slide of a pitch deck to say we have now achieved this one, but we need something else. And the question is always, why do you go into a new segment with a new product? So is the old one not performing? Is it like end of life? So you need to build a story around why there is this second product. And companies are not here to only serve one market with one product, but it somehow needs to fit. So on one side, let's make the example, if you have an IT platform where you do B2B software, and on the other side, you want to do a web shop where you sell products, I don't know how to sell it. So you need to find this story where the two segments and the two products somehow marriage or become one story. But if you go back to your vision and mission of your company, then it may fit. So it's not just this new segment, it's new product. So it needs to fit the entire purpose of your existence.
Thank you. And you have seen maybe Mumyasa had as well a question as a startup, how can I attract an angel investor even with little or no revenue generated? More like in development stages, but a very good idea and very capital intensive.
Yeah, I mentioned this quick in one of the slides, become a lucrative investment opportunity. So it depends a bit on your product, but if you're able to sign or let potential clients sign LOIs, so letter of intent, potential buying contracts. So this would then show the investor, hey, we just need the money to build it, but the clients are there. They just wait for the product. Or if you have a product to sell, you may do already pre-sale. So you sell your products with a discount, and you just tell the client, hey, we can't deliver tomorrow, we deliver in 1 year. For that, you get 50% discount. On one side, you have the cash on your bank account, and on the other side, you can show the investor you have already traction even without the product. So there exist many different ways to become a lucrative product investment opportunity and do a little bit of smart activities in order to show the investor there is not just an idea, there is more.
Okay, thank you. So with that, the time is up. I check as well the time, and we don't have any further questions in the Q&A and no hands further raised. So with that, we thank you so much for all your presence and for your time, specifically to our guest speaker, Manuel, who dialed in from Switzerland, Zurich. We really appreciate your presentation. We appreciate all your insights and knowledge that you shared with us generously. That means a lot to us. And again, repetition, we will share the presentation, also the recording will be shared. Thank you so much. With that, I will wish you an evening, good evening, and you shall enjoy the rest. Thank you so much, Manuel. That was really wonderful.
Thank you very much for having me. It was great talking to you and looking forward to connect with all of you and share whatever question you have. Have a good evening.
One moment, Manuel. How does one go about getting a corporate investor? Another question.
The last thing. How does one get about getting a corporate investor? Corporate investors, that's a hard one. You need to fit the industry. So it really depends on the industry you're working, because a corporate investor, they are mainly looking into something to increase their productivity, to reduce costs. You see this mainly in healthcare, in insurances, in banks. So banks are now large institutes, but they are not able to create new products. So that's why they become very attractive for startups. So the best way, you have to talk to internal people in large corporates, but be aware these guys are employed, so they don't have too much pressure. So this takes even longer than an angel investor.
Thank you so much. That's the last questions. We recap. With no further ado, I shall close the webinar. Thank you so much, Manuel. And I wish everyone a wonderful, wonderful continuation of wherever you are in the world. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, President.